drawing vectors. You have multiple tools for drawing vectors in Inkscape. Let's go over them one by one to get ourselves more familiar with them. The first one is probably the simplest form, which is this button here. It's called Draw Bezier Curves and Straight Lines. What this tool allows you to do is to go point by point to create vectors. That's what these straight lines represent. At the same time, if you click and hold with your mouse and pull, and then release, click and hold again, release, click and hold again, release, click, hold, and just keep pulling, you can actually start to create unique curves with your vectors. Click, hold, pull, click, hold, pull, so on and so forth until we reach a shape that we want. So that's drawing Bezier curves. Now, once you have a series of vectors on your screen, you can then go up to this small triangle tool. It's called Edit Paths by Node. So anytime you are dealing with Inkscape and you want to find out if something is actually a vector, the first thing you want to do is click on this Edit Paths by Node. And what this does is by bringing your mouse over any shape, you'll see a small red line blip. It'll actually blip red for just a half a second. You can click on it and you'll see these little squares, and these little squares represent separate nodes. Same thing, you can click on the square, you can click on the large oblongish weird shape that we have above there. This tool allows you to, let's say you grab the middle of the line and pull on it. You can adjust nodes. And you'll notice with the ways that I'm pulling on this, the node here is also pulling on this piece on this side. So all of the nodes interact with one another. Sometimes we want that to happen to create smooth edges, sometimes we don't. Let's say we wanted to move this node here, move this portion of my piece, and not move this. So I have this exactly where I want it, but I want this to be closer and flatter. And you'll notice it's starting to affect the piece above it. I don't want that to happen. Well, what I can do is, because when I'm moving this, I'll go ahead and click on that node to show you. You'll see these blue reference lines. These blue reference lines can actually be adjusted themselves to allow you to change the focus or the focal point of each of those curves. That's what these blue lines do when you're working with them, and you can adjust it any way you want. However, what you'll notice is that when I move this vector editor node down, this node up here actually adjusts vertically and proportional to it, which is not something we want. Let's say we wanted to make a corner there. Well, fortunately, Inkscape has a tool that allows you to do that. What you do is make sure that your node is selected, the node that you specifically want to turn into a corner. And then over here, we have 3 different node editor tools. One of them is Make Selected Node a Corner. By clicking it, I'll be able to independently move my vectors around, and now I have an effective corner. And I could do this to arguably any corner out there. But let's say we didn't want to do that. Outside of clicking undo, let's say you did something else after that you wanted to keep, but you wanted to turn this back into a line that reacts and moves proportional to the other line there. All we do is make sure we've selected our node and then click on this here, which is this node editor, which is Make Nodes Symmetrical. Now this allows you to have the nodes react symmetrically, and it also shows us that reaction as we had initially. All right. And we can go back to non-symmetrical but still reactive by going through and clicking Make Selected Nodes Smooth here. That way we can adjust the scale on one side and not have the other try to adjust its scale simultaneously, back to where we were initially when we got all of this started. So those are the basic node editing tools. It's going to take you a little bit of practice to get familiar with them, but you can go in and make strange shapes and get familiar with the tool itself. Select the node and you can edit those points. Again, we'll go through this. Make nodes corner, make nodes smooth, which is allows you to adjust and they move in tandem, but it's not necessarily proportional. Here, make selected nodes symmetrical. Whatever you do to one side will be done to the opposite. And those are the three that we mainly deal with. Anything outside of that, we don't really do anything with at that point. This node here automatically adjusts your node for you to make that smooth. I don't like using it simply because I don't want everything to be automated when it comes to editing my art. And that is how you edit nodes on a basic level. You can move, you can adjust, you can grab the line to make adjustments, you can grab lines to move them to the location that you want it to be moved, and you can grab and adjust your nodes this way. Node Editing 101. I will also say one simple way to remove nodes is by clicking on that node itself and hitting delete on your keyboard. That removes the node, however, it doesn't remove the line. And we'll go into more about how to remove and add lines in the next video. So, that being said, basic node editing. If you have any questions, reach out, play with it, mess with it, get familiar with it, and we'll go from there.